Hello. So, question is, why would anyone? I'm sorry. I apologize for the light and the sound. I'm in the car. It sucks, but whatever. So, the question is, why would anybody sell their house at a discount to a wholesaler? That's the question. And I got to be honest, it's a question that I struggled with for the first 4 years I was in the business, when I really did not understand the concept of marketing direct to sellers. And for 4 years, I only bought at auctions, live auctions, mostly. Every Tuesday, I went to the Nassau County auction. I bought on online auctions. I bought from REO agents, so real estate. REO stands for real estate owned, which means bank owned property. But the people would tell me, what are you doing for marketing? And I don't know what the hell they're talking about. And say, oh, you're not in the real estate business, you're in the marketing business. I'm like, I'm not in the marketing business, I don't market. But I was wrong. I should have been in the marketing business. But I really thought wholesalers were knuckle-dragging Neanderthals who just got themselves in the middle of a deal to make a small amount of money. I didn't understand really what the whole concept was. Now I got sun in my face. Okay, so the question, and you, if you're starting in the business, you're going to struggle with this question. Look at the horrible shadow now. You're going to struggle with this question a lot, because if you're in a area where people don't understand this, and you tell them, I call people up and ask them to sell me their house at a discount, they're going to say something to you like, well, why would anybody do that? And that's what the question we're going to answer today. Why would anybody sell their house at a significant discount to a wholesaler, really to anyone? Sorry, I got a call and I got to tell them I'll call back. Okay, so here are the answers of why people sell their houses to wholesalers or to anybody who wants to buy it at a discount. The number one, well, I don't want to even rank them, but the top 3 or 4 reasons that I consistently see of why people sell is A, not one, but A, the house is in terrible condition. Now, that if the house is in terrible condition, that could mean a lot of different things to different people, right? You may say, well, no one will buy this. It's not that no one will buy it. Very often, it's just the fact that the seller is embarrassed by it. I can't believe how bad the light is here. The seller is embarrassed by the condition, and they want to sell it as quickly and painlessly as possible. Sometimes the only thing the seller doesn't want to hear is they don't want people coming to the house saying something along the lines of, how does anybody live like this? And they know that I bought houses from hoarders where there were floor to ceiling bags with just a pathway to get through from one room to another, floor to ceiling. I bought houses that had human feces all over the place. I bought houses that had cat feces all over the place. I bought houses that had dog feces all over the place. As sad as it sounds, I can smell the difference already between the 3. Certainly between 3. I know between cat urine, dog urine, human urine. I know the difference. So sometimes that's the issue. Sometimes it's the issue that they feel like, listen, the house needs so much work, someone can't get a mortgage for it. And very often they're right about this. If the house is really in terrible condition, if you can't get a mortgage for it, I don't want to sell it to a regular retail buyer who's going to come back and tell me to make repairs. So condition is obviously a big issue, right? If the house is not mortgageable, if an end user buyer can't get a regular mortgage because the house is in such terrible condition, or because the kitchen doesn't work, or because there's no working bathroom, or because there's a major hole in the roof, something like that, then yeah, you probably need to sell to a cash buyer. So the first is condition, okay? The second is time issues, right? So what everybody thinks is that someone's gonna call you and say, I need to sell this in 2 days, right? In New York, it's very different, right? Things take longer. It's not a 2-day thing. And more often, I've certainly bought more properties from people who needed more time than from people who needed to close really quickly. So I recently was in contract with someone for 19 months. She actually passed away. She had terminal cancer, and I bought the property from her children, but she needed to know that the house was under contract and that someone was going to pay a certain amount of money. Okay. So time is the second issue. Condition is the first issue. Another issue is municipal issues. So this doesn't come up in every area, because in some areas municipal issues are easy to fix. But in New York City suburbs or New York City, municipal issues can be a big deal. And that means that there are violations, there's open permits or open violations, and you cannot sell a property in most cases, right? The seller represents on a standard contract that they're going to convey clean title. And what that means is that there are no open permits or open violations. So now you can word a contract where the buyer buys it, but that's usually my contract where I'm buying it. I'll take those things subject to the issues, and then I'll fix them, and then I'll sell it to an end user buyer. But those are issues, right? So unpermitted additions come up sometimes and cause problems. Now, those are the three biggest issues. So there's time, there's condition, and then there's municipal issues. Now, the other issues do come up, right? There are people who simply had a terrible experience dealing with a real estate agent, right? The real estate agent screwed them over, didn't do what they said they were going to do, or with a buyer. Now, you've got to understand that in a standard contract from a seller to a buyer, there is going to be a mortgage contingency, right? Which allows the buyer to get out of the contract if they get denied the mortgage. Now, I was in the mortgage business for 17 years, and I can tell you on maybe 100 occasions, we denied people who really didn't need to be denied. They asked us to deny them. It's very easy to deny somebody for a mortgage. Documents expire all the time. And a standard contract, a standard buyer can drag you along for months and then call you up and say, I'm sorry, I got denied. Whether it's legitimate or not, you can't really question it. There's nothing you can do about it. So there are people who simply sell to an investor because of the certainty that an investor provides. Now, when I buy a property as an investor, I have no contingencies. Forget about a mortgage contingency. I have no contingency. So the only way I get out of a contract is if there's a title issue. And it's happened one or two times in the last 10 years. Where there was a title issue, something came up that was just unknown or a problem, and that's fine. So some people just want the certainty and convenience that an investor provides. Some people really just don't want people walking through their house. There are people who are antisocial. There are people who, certainly during COVID, people didn't want a lot of people walking through their house. That happens. There are all kinds of other issues too. But in general, those are the main issues. And those issues that I just told you come up all the time, right? So people think, well, how many of those there could be? So I'll tell you what the numbers are. The basic numbers are that in any given area, on average, in any given place, in any given time, 90% of the, I can't believe how expensive gas is here in LA. 90% of the properties are just going to sell listed with an agent, right? That's a standard sale. 10% are going to go off market. Most of them are going to go to investors. So those issues come up. They come up all the time. Right now, once in a while, an off-market property is just something where a neighbor bought it or a family member bought it, but very often those are sold to investors. So those things come up, and these issues come up all the time. And as a wholesaler, you're basically saying, "Am I in the right place? I think I am." You're basically saying, "I am trying to work a list of people that are likely to sell, and I am going to try and find those few people who are willing to sell at a discount." Oh, geez, Louise. People drive like crap in LA. Who are willing to sell it to me for those reasons or any reason, right? I'm just trying to find those people. And that's it, right? And you can't. So a lot of people get started in this business. I tell them what to do. They get a list. They skip trace list. And then they come back to me and they go, everybody wants retail price. I'm like, yeah, that's the way it works, right? You're trying to just get a small, tiny subset of that list who are interested in selling to you at a discount. They exist, and it takes time, and it's not simple, and it's a long process, and that is really the reason why everybody doesn't do this, because it's hard, right? It's difficult. It's difficult to get told to drop dead. It's difficult to get told by a lot of people to stop calling them, or in a much worse way than that, and that happens. But there are people who will sell for the reasons that I told you, and those people will always be around in every area, in every market. So, it's important to understand that it's not going to be easy to find them. I tell people to get a list of 10,000 addresses, with their skip trace, which should be 25 to 30,000 numbers, and they're going to get one deal out of it over a year, 12 to 18 months. It's a long process. It's not simple. So I hope this was helpful. If you're interested in all the ways I can help you, go to howtoflipnewyork.com. If you're interested in finding out more about one-on-one coaching, go to coaching.howtoflipnewyork.com. If you are watching on YouTube, please subscribe. You're watching on any channel, please click the thumbs up. The likes really help me. And I would say to please keep the comments coming. I post 5 times a week. I don't always know what to say. You can ask any question. It does not have to be about the video you're watching. If it's a simple answer, I'll just reply with an answer. If it's something that I've covered before, I'll send you links to videos on it. If it's something new, I will do a new video on it. So I really appreciate you watching. Thank you very, very much for watching.